Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, depending upon where you're at in the world. I'd like to welcome you to episode 5 of the Enterprise Technology Podcast with your host, John Perez. All right, let's take a quick break and thank all our people for listening, all our listeners for tuning in. I want to thank you for the time. We actually have been getting some great momentum with the listenership, and in the world of enterprise software, it's great to have a few listeners. And if you have any feedback, feel free to shoot me an email. Our email contact address information is all in our show notes. But today's topic is going to be one that I cover quite often throughout the course of the year with many customers. And I wanted to share what are the top mistakes companies are making when they are implementing a CRM or ERP system. Let's talk about CRM and ERP. ERP standing for Enterprise Resource Planning. That typically has to do with the back office operations of your business. This is your accounting, your finance department, and everything that tracks revenue, the system, software, and processes that track revenue and inventory and any assets, credits, or debits in your business. So that is ERP. And of course, CRM, we talk about that a lot, customer relationship management. That is your front office technology, the technology that actually powers your sales, service, marketing, could be your website as well. So we're going to talk about the top mistakes that companies do make when they go on that journey of implementing CRM and ERP. So I have about 5 or 6 things I want to share, and for each item, I want to share some examples of what I typically see and things to avoid. Let's go down the list first before we give supporting examples. Number 1 is going to be hiring a developer and not an experienced consultant. Number two, the top second mistake that companies make is not aligning their business objectives with any CRM or ERP strategy. Number 3 is really trying to boil the ocean when they go about implementing CRM and ERP. Number 4 is all about underestimating the people and culture aspects of CRM and ERP. And number 5 is not budgeting for a future roadmap of enhancements. So let's go down to each example. I'm going to go through 5 of them and give you some supporting examples of things to avoid. So, number 1 was hiring only a developer and not an experienced consultant. I see this quite often. Companies are going to go down the journey of implementing CRM, and many are just focused on the development effort needed to implement one. Whether that's, a standard off-the-shelf CRM, like a Salesforce, like an Oracle, like a Microsoft Dynamics. Many IT folks and CIOs just go and focus on the development effort to code and or configure those systems. Even when a company wants to build their own system, they really just focus on these things from a development perspective, and that's a big mistake. There's a lot you need to understand first before you implement the CRM system. Hiring an experienced consultant can actually save you a lot of time up front and avoid a lot of implementation mistakes. So, for example, how does a developer know the best practice around converting a lead into a contact, creating opportunities? Typically, developers are just not sales or marketing or service experts, right? They don't. They're great at coding, but they don't know how to do service in a CRM system. They don't know how to do sales in a CRM system. And so this is where an experienced consultant will come in. Their goal is to really understand what you're trying to do from a process perspective and map and configure that to how it would be done in a CRM system. Right before a developer even touches a line of code and or anything in the system, you want an experienced consultant to come in and actually help align and suggest how you should align those business processes within CRM. Developers typically don't have that skill set, right? They know how to code, but they don't know how it should work in CRM. Nor do they care. So don't go into this thinking you only need to hire a developer. You will actually need an experienced consultant. And if you do make the investment in hiring one, you're going to save a lot of time and you're going to save a lot of issues in the long term. So that's mistake number one, just focusing on the IT and dev aspect of a CRM or ERP rollout. Mistake number two is really not aligning your business objectives with the CRM or ERP strategy. So you've heard about CRM, your company has heard about the value of it, right? But have you really taken the time to align what you want to get out of CRM, right? So you went and purchased the latest and greatest Salesforce CRM, but you don't know what you want to get out of it. Are you just going to use Salesforce to store all your contacts and leads? That's an expensive address book, right? You don't want to just use CRM to do that. So what are you trying to do in your business? Are you trying to grow your sales? And if you are trying to grow your sales, what are the key capabilities that you need to enable in a CRM system to grow your sales? Whether that's, creating opportunities, pipeline and forecast reports, automating notifications to sales reps when they haven't touched a deal, right? These are the kind of things you really have to align. You don't want to implement a CRM system without supporting any business objectives. So make sure you take the time to understand that. As you roll out CRM, how is it going to support your business objectives? Try to get granular with the specific KPIs that you want to measure, and what are those KPIs that are going to support those business objectives. And that can be sales, that can be marketing, that can be customer service. There's a bunch of KPIs. In fact, on one of the previous episodes, we talked about the supporting KPIs, but think a lot about those business objectives. So that's mistake number two. And mistake number three is really all about boiling the ocean. Many companies really try to take on too much in phase one, phase two, phase three. In fact, many companies don't believe in phasing anything in. They want to get all the benefits of CRM technology in one rollout. They want to implement sales, service, and marketing in 3 to 6 months. And they want to get very aggressive with implementing all that change across hundreds of people in their organization all at once. And what you end up with is a lot of disruption to your business. You end up losing a lot of money if you're not careful, right? So trying to implement all the features, all the benefits of a CRM system, all at the same time really doesn't do you, your company, or its employees any good. Phase these things in. Take the best practice. Think about the low-hanging fruit that you can implement that provides the highest value to your business. Do not try to focus on the things that are perceived to have a high value and just take a long time to implement. Don't go down that path of implementing a sales rollout for CRM at the same time for service and at the same time for marketing, because you're going to have 3 different groups all on a system that are going to be, creating a lot of challenges for each other. So maybe you phase in CRM in that you start with sales, then move to marketing, then implement customer service. So think about that, I should say. Try not to boil the ocean. Mistake number 4, underestimating the people aspects of CRM, particularly the cultural aspects. So what do I mean by that? So many companies think they just need to hire technical resources, a partner or professional services firm to configure the system the way they want it. The reality is you need to have a good team of champions to support the system on an ongoing basis and to drive that change within your organization. So here's some of the roles and things you have to consider. Think about an executive champion or a business owner for CRM in your company. Someone whose sole responsibility is to drive the CRM strategy throughout the company. Think about the training that's needed. Do not assume that your implementation partner is just going to come in and do all the training. They may do it initially, but what happens when they leave? What happens when you want to train new sales reps or new customer service reps on the system? So you need to have some in-house expertise that can do the training. Let's also talk about things like senior sponsorship. That is critical. So many times I see a lot of companies that lack senior sponsorship. What do I mean by that? Well, what I essentially mean is no executive is going to be a part of that CRM implementation. Is there an executive whose role is to participate and lead the charge in a CRM or ERP rollout? There has to be somebody at the executive level that either has an interest or some skin in the game to get this thing rolled out. It can't be driven by employees. Obviously they're a critical part of it, but you need an executive champion. So try to find that, some senior sponsorship. The other thing you want to definitely employ is training resources, UAT resources, and testing resources. So think about the level of effort to test some of the changes you're making to your CRM system. Think about user acceptance testing and getting your users and employees in one room to actually test out the capabilities before they roll out into production. These are things that require roles in a company, and they're extremely important to the success of your rollout of CRM or ERP. Do not underestimate them. Give them some attention. Give them to people in your organization. If you're a small startup and you're just starting out, then this may be multiple hats, or you may have to outsource some of this, but pay attention to this. All right, and down to the last one. The last mistake that most companies make is really not budgeting for future enhancements for CRM or ERP. CRM and ERP is not a one and done thing. It is not like you implement it once and the costs go away and you're using the system for the next 5 years. What you'll find is that in every industry, processes change, customers change, behaviors, and so as a result, your business has to change. And when that happens, it often requires that you make changes to your CRM system, whether that's cosmetic changes, new fields, new attributes, new modules that go in your CRM, or you need to integrate new tools into your CRM. You always will go on the journey of continuously investing in it. So don't think it goes away. Make sure you budget for future enhancements and have a budget for any development or any training, because it will only improve and get better if you keep investing both time and money into it. So those are the top 5 mistakes that companies make when implementing an ERP or CRM system. I'm going to recap them before we conclude. Number 1 is hiring only a developer and not an experienced consultant. Number 2 is not aligning business objectives with your CRM strategy. Number 3 is trying to boil the ocean, trying to do it all at once and doing a whole lot at once. Number 4 is underestimating the people aspect of CRM and not properly staffing and finding the right resources to support a implementation. And number 5 is not budgeting for future enhancements. Well, I want to thank you to this very quick episode of episode 5. This is the Enterprise Tech Podcast with your host, John Perez, and I'm looking forward to the next week's episodes. Tell me what you want to hear more about. Email us at theenterprisetechpodcast.com. Thank you.